Hey, do you guys watch anime? I was just having a conversation with a couple friends last night about some of our favorite shows, and they was trying to put me on to some new ones because we're all busy. So sometimes I'm in it, sometimes I'm out. But if they give me a good one, I'll commit a couple episodes and see if it sticks. But among that conversation, we're getting into some of the lessons we learned with certain anime, and I come from Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, and then Adult Swim with Cowboy Bebop and that slate of anime. I had one that I love called Blue Gender, which was a very sci-fi-esque type of anime. But one that really stuck, and I can call it my favorite, was an anime called Trigun. Now this anime models itself after an old western and follows a character called Vash the Stampede, who's a humanoid and has a huge bounty on his head. I think the number was $60 billion, right? That's their currency. It's an anime. And he's a positive guy, and he goes from town to town, again, an old western, goes from town to town to seek refuge, only to be met with an array of gunmen who's always trying to take him out or take him to the sheriff for that big bounty, as you can imagine. Now, the reason he had this big bounty was because 150 years ago, he was approached by his evil brother, right, who's also his twin. His name was Knives, and he got the better of him, and he kind of forced his hand, and he ended up destroying a city by mistake. It wasn't his intention. And what makes the anime more interesting is that between him and his brother, they play on this kind of religious arc. So Vash is kind of like Jesus, whereas Knives can be seen as kind of a Satan-like character. But nonetheless, he goes from town to town, gets approached by these gunmen, but ironically, and again, he has this huge reputation as a gunslinger, as a very dangerous man, but he would go to this town with the best intentions. His life is always threatened, but he ends up course correcting these towns he goes to, because you can imagine there's these gangsters in every town. He actually goes there and takes them out to help the rest of the villagers or the rest of the townspeople exist in a peaceful way. So he had this terrible reputation, but he would go to each and every town only to save people. And they would never give him credit. It was kind of a thankless gesture he would do. Now, as a young man watching that anime, I was probably 15, maybe even 16 years old. With such a great story and such a great message and quite frankly, a great cast of characters, it undoubtedly made an impact on me, and a positive one at that. And of that was two foundational principles that I maintained then and even now more than 10 years later. Now the first is a bit cliched as far as sayings go, and it's with great power comes great responsibility. It's interesting as you get older, those old sayings and cliches, they become more and more true. But again, with great power comes great responsibility. Vash the Stampede, he has the power to give life, to take life. He's a humanoid. And with each town he goes to, people draw guns on him. They kick him out of saloons. They treat him like an outcast, right? But he knew the power he had, so he never used that power to take advantage of people, not to rob people, not to take towns over, right? He stood confidently in his power, and he would just go on to the next one, right? He didn't let them get the best of him. So as a young man, that taught me, as far as interpretations go, that as I gain more success, power, and influence, not to take advantage of other people, even if they don't have the best intentions for me, because two wrongs don't make a right, and I have better things to do. Now, the second principle that I gained from watching Trigun is actually similar to a passage in the Bible. Now, of course, I say this in hindsight, but that passage is from Luke 23:34, and it goes, "Forgive them, for they do not know what they do." Now, in the context of Trigun, as I mentioned throughout this video, he's constantly being persecuted and made an outcast, even among people who he had no direct interaction with prior. So it taught me to understand that some people will always have a kind of a glass half full, or glass half empty, better way of going about life, right? In my own study of psychology, there are just these people who have these mental filters on, and they only can see the negative in things and the negative in people. The negative in situations, and that's the life that they live in. So it's important that for those of us who do have a more positive lens, a more optimistic lens, to identify who those people are quickly, as soon as possible, and learn to coexist with them with that understanding, so that they can never dilute the positivity that we naturally have. So there you have it, two foundational principles that I learned from watching Trigun. Obviously an anime that I hold near and dear. Highly recommend you check it out. It's a short anime, probably 26 episodes, 30 minutes each. And for those of you that watch anime, you know that runs on the short side. There's some anime that are about 1,000, 2,000 episodes. So this is very short. This is in that small minority. So definitely check it out. Let me know what you think if you manage to do so. Also in the comment section, if you watched an anime or a cartoon growing up or even a movie, let me know what type of lessons you've learned from those, right? This might serve as an opportunity for me to get my next recommendation or for those that watch this video. So please do so, and I look forward to talking to you soon.